Just the other weekend, EndingWalker proved that he's one of the best Street Fighter 6 players in the world right now by taking his Ryu on to Grand Finals at Red Bull Kumite Paris. One of his main strengths that stood out from his play is his deep understanding of the drive system and how it elevated him above the rest of the competition. In this video, we'll be going over how EndingWalker and other top players make use of the drive gauge system compared to other players worldwide.
EndingWalker! The ball closing out here with a great alarm! And you can take your $1 million home!
In order to manage our resources, we must understand two key principles. When managing our drive gauge, we must either have more drive gauge than the opponent, or have our bar charge up faster when we share the same amount. By following these two rules, it allows us the best chances at maintaining a lead in the drive gauge war. There is a caveat to this, however. Managing our resources isn't as simple as just saying that we're going to follow these two rules. There are some key tips and strategies we could use in order to get behind this concept. A major strategy that EndingWalker and numerous other top players do is tap out the opponent's drive gauge. They do so by always trying to throw a hitbox out onto the opponent's hurtbox whenever they can. It may seem simple to just throw hitboxes onto the opponent, but if you pay attention to the timing of EndingWalker doing so, you'll notice that it's always when his opponent's drive gauge is just about to recharge. This is done to stall the opponent's drive gauge recharge and make it harder to catch up to EndingWalker in the resource economy. It becomes much easier to maintain a lead in drive gauge when the opponent is also having a difficult time regaining theirs. For example, look at EndingWalker's use of Ryu's donkey kick. This isn't done to only maintain the spacing game, but it's also to ensure that he has a hitbox that will connect onto the opponent and stall their drive gauge charge. Another concept we need to look into in order to be resourceful of our drive gauge is when we commit to a drive rush cancel. It's no secret that drive rush canceling on normal is meta in Street Fighter 6, as even on block, it allows you to push for a strike throw mix-up onto the opponent. But we can't just go for it whenever we feel like it. Top players in particular are very resourceful when they do their cancels. That is because drive rush canceling is a 3-bar spend, which is half your total drive gauge. Too many cancels in quick succession will lead to burnout and decrease your momentum in a match.
Damn! Right up the gluteus maximus. Back throw? Whoa! You would have went commando, that would have been awesome. Put him in the burnout too. Speaking of which, I mean, no one doesn't really care, right? Respect my crouching fears. Oh, you're dead. Oh.
Now, you might be asking, how does one know when to be resourceful of drive rush cancels? What EndingWalker and many top players do is wait until they recover at least 2 bars of drive gauge after one cancel before they commit to the next one. This general rule of thumb is often used as a measurement of how to control the amount of times you commit to a cancel. We talked about how to manage our drive gauge offensively, but now, let's look at habits that allow us to manage our resources when we're on the defensive. One habit I see EndingWalker commit to is to hold drive parry whenever his opponent commits to an option that doesn't set up a strike throw mix-up. These include blocking a string that isn't right beside us, fireballs, and miscellaneous moves like Rashid's spinning mixer and Honda's entire kit. At first, it seems like EndingWalker may be fishing for a perfect parry to steal his turn back, but it's also to ensure that these types of moves don't stall his own drive gauge and leave him on a deficit in the resource war. Some of these moves even allow him to replenish even more drive gauge back versus if he returned the game state back to neutral and waited out the timer like normal. We talked about how EndingWalker will throw any fast or disjoint hitbox he can in order to stall the opponent's drive gauge, so it's no surprise the opponent will try to do the same in return. When you notice your opponent playing on the offensive like this, it's important to note how EndingWalker will divert away from the situation by moving out of his opponent's strike range to avoid being clipped by the opponent's hitbox. He will also throw fireballs or any other disjoint hitboxes of his own to create a wall that prevents the opponent from tapping out his own drive gauge. Let's recap what EndingWalker does in order to maintain the lead in drive gauge versus his opponent. Tap out the opponent's drive gauge with fast and disjointed hitboxes. When drive rush canceling, we must make sure that we recharge about 2 bars of drive gauge first after a cancel before committing to another one. Parry any hitboxes that doesn't lead to a strike throw mix-up. Throw out hitboxes and use movement in order to not be tapped out by your opponent. Managing our resources at first may be difficult, but understanding this concept that is exclusive to Street Fighter 6 is crucial in order to level up in the competition, and it's what separates the top players away from everyone else. Thank you for watching the 3rd installment in the Play Like series, and subscribe for more guides like this. Stick around for more examples of these strategies being put into place. This is Tran, thanks for watching.